Hey YouTubers, I just wanted to make this really quick short Dragon Ball video, basically asking you guys what y'all's favorite fight in Dragon Ball Super has been up until this point. Now from where we are right now, we know the Tournament of Power is probably not going to end anytime soon. I mean, in fact, we really know that it's not going to end anytime soon, considering the fact that, you know, we're not even very close to the end of the runtime, let alone we haven't seen fights between Goku and Jiren yet, or even Vegeta or Gohan do anything like that. We don't know what Frieza or Frost are up to. We're going to learn pretty soon. But anyway, guys, before we get to that, which hopefully, fingers crossed, is going to be some of the best fights that we get to see in this particular series, if not just this arc in general. And then at the same time, I wanted to basically look back at what we've seen from this series. Not Dragon Ball Z, not Dragon Ball and or GT. I want to look back just solely at Dragon Ball Super up until this point and ask you guys, what's your favorite fight in Dragon Ball Super up until this point right now? I mean, everything we're going to see in the future, sure, fine. That's something we can revisit this topic later when we get to that particular point, because we know that stuff's going to be epic. But right now, and I know a lot of you guys are going to say, oh man, one of the, you know, Goku Black versus Goku, and or Goku and Trunks versus Zamasu and Black, or something else like that. I mean, yes, those are some awesome fights, but I'm going to make my case right now. And I have to say, and I've said this before, I love the Goku and Hit fight from the Champa arc, from the Universe 7 versus Universe 6 fight. I definitely love that, but I'm going to group two fights into that because I do feel like you really can't take one without the other just because they kind of jump off each other. The fight with Vegeta versus Hit is one of my favorite fights in this particular show. And I know a lot of people are going to take that as a huge blow to Vegeta fans and Vegeta's pride or something, because he just gets completely, utterly wrecked during this fight. But you gotta give the guy some credit. I mean, he kept getting up to the point where he just had to, like, he was so exhausted from his fights with Frost and Kaba and Vegeta that he just passes out from exhaustion. And how obviously Hit's sitting there hitting his vital points over and over and over again to the point where he really cannot get any rest in. But you gotta give the guy credit. I mean, he just kept getting up and he kept going after Hit. He kept letting himself get hit in order to actually figure out a weakness, and then at the same time he just never figured it out, because who could have actually seen the Tokudobashi coming? And that's another real great thing about that fight that I really love in general, is the Tokudobashi, at least at the time. It might be a little overused right now, but at least at the time, the Tokudobashi was one of the coolest things that Dragon Ball had ever introduced to us. Just a general, this is what this guy is capable of. And look at him Zenkai. And first of all, that was the first time in this particular series. They've done it since with Black, and they've done it even more so with Hit in the future of the series after that particular point. But that was the first time in the series that we saw anyone outside of the Saiyans actually Zenkai, and especially during a fight and not getting mortally wounded or not. They really created, in my opinion, an awesome fighter when it comes to Hit. And that first fight with Vegeta was just so epic because you weren't really expecting it. That was back when we weren't necessarily sure what exactly he was doing. There was a lot of rampant speculation, myself included, about what Hit's particular power actually was. And I remember just how much fun it was to speculate and theorize and just geek out with all of you guys about just how awesome Hit is during that particular scene. And I haven't actually seen or felt that way about any of the antagonizing forces that we've gotten since then. I mean, obviously there was a lot of rampant speculation with who Black is, and also how strong is Jiren and all this other stuff. But with Hit, I think it was a little special because that was the first time in Dragon Ball Super that we were left scratching our heads and wondering just how strong this guy is. What's his plan? What is he going to do with the cube? And obviously, you know, the way that they handled that afterwards, it just kind of took away all of that joy, where he didn't want the cube afterwards. There was no greater story to that particular arc, and we just kind of moved on from there. And probably rightfully so, even awesome that we got the whole Future Trunks arc coming back. And I was a naysayer on that myself. I have my problems with that arc, but that arc was really awesome too. Goku Black, hands down, him and Zamasu, two of the best villains that we've ever gotten in all of Dragon Ball. And that's including Piccolo Daimao and Frieza and all. He's right up there with the top, you know, he's right up there with the top guys. But at the same time, I just haven't seen a fight like Goku and Vegeta versus Hit. Those two fights kind of melded into one. I mean, considering the fact, I mean, that nostalgic moment where Goku goes Super Saiyan Blue and stacks the Kaioken on top of it, and he's done that before, or even since. He never did that before, but he's done that since. And I'm just sitting there going, you know, it didn't have that same feel to it where you're just like getting out of your chair and literally screaming at your screen. The nostalgia pops, guys. The closest thing I can say about that was maybe watching Goku and Beerus fight in the Battle of Gods movie. Although the Battle of Gods arc with that fight, I believe that's the longest we've gotten so far, was actually really cool in general. I mean, the whole Beerus fight was pretty cool. I really like the way they adapted it, but it kind of suffered the same thing with the Frieza fight, not just the whole animation problems they had with that, but the same thing with both those fights. We had seen that before. It would probably been done better, both of which had been done better in the movies and didn't necessarily need to be adapted, but I can understand why they did it. The whole Hit fight and the whole Universe 6 versus Universe 7 fights, if you want to take all of those in general, you can. I'm not necessarily trying to do that. I'm trying to keep it as tight as possible in terms of which fight I actually liked, but that fight, to me, really hit that nostalgic moment where you're just like, man, this is Dragon Ball Z. This is what I grew up on. This is really what I want. And yes, I said Dragon Ball Z there because I did grow up on Dragon Ball Z. I didn't actually watch Dragon Ball till a couple of years way after I'd actually watched Dragon Ball Z. So, I mean, it was right up there with some of the best things that I remember from my childhood. And like I said, one of the reasons I do these videos, one of the reasons I talk to you guys about this stuff is because Dragon Ball just brings me back to my childhood. And it is one of those things where I just want so desperately to rekindle those emotions and that joy from that time, especially growing up and having more and more responsibilities from time to time. It's just so nice to be able to relax and watch this show and just geek out about all the awesome fights that we see. So like, with that being said, I want everyone to go down to the comment section below and tell me what your favorite fights in this particular series are and for what reasons. Do you think that we're going to get any better fights in that? I mean, obviously they're building up this Jiren fight to be something special, and we do know that it's not ending after this tournament. I mean, Dragon Ball Super would be crazy to end after this tournament. So with that being said, guys, I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button. That's going to notify you every single time I upload. If you're interested in the content, you want to support the channel. Guys, please make sure to also go down to the description section below and hit that link to follow me on Twitter. I'm always on Twitter. I'm so much easier to get in contact with there. So please make sure to do that if you want to actually interact with me a little bit more individually. And with that being said, guys, I hope everyone has a good day. It's been real.